What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Mike here, and I'm here to talk about every game one that took place in the 2022 NBA playoffs. The first game that we had take place was the Utah Jazz taking on the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas. The final score in this one was 99-93, and the Utah Jazz were led by Donovan Mitchell, who scored 32 points, and also had key contributions from Bojan Bogdanovic, who scored 26 points, and Rudy Gobert also grabbed 17 rebounds in this game. On the flip side for the Dallas Mavericks, they were without NBA superstar Luka Doncic, who missed this game due to a calf strain, but they received contributions from Jalen Brunson, who scored 24 points, and Spencer Dinwiddie, who also scored 22 points. But however, in this game, Spencer Dinwiddie did miss 6 free throws, and he talked about it in his post-game interview. I think the keys to success for the Dallas Mavericks, if they want to even this series up, is obviously Spencer Dinwiddie's going to have to make some free throws, but they're also going to have to keep Rudy Gobert off the glass, as they were out-rebounded in this game by 19 total rebounds. But I do look for Utah to lose game 2 and Dallas to even this thing up before the series heads to Utah. So I like the Dallas Mavericks to even this thing up. The next game that we had take place was the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis. Minnesota shocked the Grizzlies, winning this game 130-117, and Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man himself, scored 36 points in his playoff debut. The Timberwolves also received contributions from Karl-Anthony Towns, who scored 29 points and had a thunderous jam over Jaren Jackson Jr. And also the Timberwolves received 23 points off the bench from Malik Beasley. I was very impressed, very shocked. I did not expect the Memphis Grizzlies to lose this game. The Memphis Grizzlies are a team that I think could potentially come out the West, but if they want to do that, they're going to have to start by tightening up on the defensive end, as you cannot give up 130 points at home. That is unacceptable. Ja Morant, however, did score 32 points and lived at the free throw line in this game, attempting 20 free throws and making 16. I like the Memphis Grizzlies to even this thing up in Game 2 and also tie this series. Game 3 of our Saturday slate, we had the Philadelphia 76ers taking on Toronto in Philly. The Sixers received many contributions, but the biggest contribution of all was Tyrese Maxey, who scored 38 points. Also chipping in was Tobias Harris with 26, and James Harden scored 22 points, but also had 14 assists in this game, and Joel Embiid only had 19 points. They ended up winning this game 131-111. I thought this game was a huge statement game because the Philadelphia 76ers have been receiving a lot of flack, and they were able to, tune out the noise and come out with a really strong effort in Game 1. On the flip side for the Toronto Raptors, they did lose Scotty Barnes, sensational rookie, and they also lost Gary Trent, who are both going to miss Game 2. I don't know if I think the Raptors can bounce back, but I wouldn't be surprised. But they're going to have to rely on guys such as Malachi Flynn and many others. I do like the Sixers to now win this series. I know I made a bold prediction with Raptors in 6, but we will see as this series progresses. The fourth game we had in this playoffs were the Warriors taking on the Denver Nuggets. The Golden State Warriors were led by Jordan Poole, who scored 30 points in his playoff debut, made 5 out of 7 3-pointers, also received contributions from Klay Thompson. And how about this? Steph Curry, 16 points off the bench. We don't really hear that too often, Stephen Curry off the bench. Draymond Green was also himself. And it just seemed like the Golden State Warriors were just too much for the Denver Nuggets and reigning MVP Nikola Jokic. I thought this series would be short, and I still think it's going to be short. I think Golden State will wrap this thing up in 5. Realistically, if Denver wants to get back into the series, they have to win Game 2. But I don't see them doing that, and I see them probably winning in Game 3 because that's when they have to be in front of their home crowd, and they should receive a boost of energy, and they will be playing in altitude in Denver. So we'll see as the series progresses. But I was very impressed by the Golden State Warriors, and they aren't even clicking on all cylinders just yet. 4 games on Saturday and 4 games on Sunday. The first game on Sunday was the Miami Heat taking on the Atlanta Hawks. The Heat win this game 115-91, and they received contributions from P.J. Tucker, Duncan Robinson, and kind of just got contributions from everywhere else in between. Duncan Robinson did lead the way in this game. P.J. Tucker also chipped in with 16 points. Trae Young only had 8 points in this game and also had 7 turnovers. The Miami Heat defense just seemed to be harassing him and did not let him get into a rhythm at all. I think this Heat are going to wrap this series up in about 5 or 6. I do think Atlanta will be able to reverse things a little bit when they go home. But they've been playing and pretty much been in playoff mode for the last month, as obviously they were in the play-in game and they had to win pretty much to stay alive. I do like the Heat to win this series and potentially come out of the East, as you know their two best players, Bam and Jimmy, didn't even have signature games just yet. But it is very, very encouraging that they got contributions from Duncan Robinson, who now comes off the bench, and PJ Tucker, who has 16 points. He's pretty good in the playoffs. So shout out to the Miami Heat. My favorite game one of these playoffs was the Brooklyn Nets taking on the Boston Celtics in Boston. The Celtics win this game 115 to 114, followed by a game-winning layup by Jason Tatum, who had a monster game, scoring 31 points in this one. Kyrie Irving's 39 points just did not seem to be enough. Kevin Durant had one of his worst shooting games that I've ever seen personally, only shooting 9 for 24, and he was pretty much held in check. Jason Tatum did get a key block on him late in this game, as well as getting a block on Kyrie Irving in this game. I was very, very impressed by the Celtics, but I'm not going to lie, I think they got lucky because Kevin Durant missed a lot of shots that he normally makes. They were very, very physical with him, so I do give the Boston Celtics credit for that because they were able to bother him. But if I'm Steve Nash and if I'm the Nets, I would have called a timeout to get my best defender, which is ironically Bruce Brown, who was not in the game on the final crucial possession. And I would have got him in there. Would have got some, just a defensive lineup. Because once Marcus Smart was able to pump fake and get Nicholas Claxton in the air, the only two defenders that were left in the paint were Goran Dragic and Kyrie Irving, because Kevin Durant was on the perimeter defending Jaylen Brown. I look for this series to potentially go the distance, and I think that Brooklyn will win this series in 7, despite what we saw in Game 1 from the Boston Celtics. Our third game of the Sunday slate was the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Chicago Bulls. The Bucks were led by Giannis, who scored 28 points in this game, and I thought the Bucks could have really got this one out of the way early, but they let the Bulls claw back into this game. The Bulls, they did have some contributions from DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, but they weren't big contributions, seeing as they didn't shoot the ball well at all. DeMar DeRozan shot just 25% from the field, 18 points. Zach LaVine also had 18 points. I thought the Bucks kind of played with their food just a little bit, but they should have wrapped this thing up a lot sooner, and the game should not have been as close as it was. I do expect the Bucks to still sweep Chicago, just seeing as the Bulls did not have a matchup for Giannis, and I just don't think it's going to be enough. So I like the Bucks in the sweep. And the final game one was the Phoenix Suns taking on New Orleans Pelicans. The Phoenix Suns were led by the point guard himself, Chris Paul, who scored 30 points, also had 10 assists. And the Suns, they were just rolling, especially in the first half. The Pelicans did almost backdoor cover this game for my gamblers out there. But the Suns were able to win this game by 11 points. The Suns just looked different. They just looked the part, and they just looked fueled from losing last year in the postseason. I think the Pelicans are just happy to be there, although C.J. McCollum did have a nice game scoring over 20 points. But I just don't think that him and Brandon Ingram are going to be enough. But shout out to my guy Valanciunas, who did have a nice game grabbing 25 rebounds. But I just don't think it's enough, as Phoenix just looks motivated and ready to make another trip back to the NBA Finals. And those are my reactions to Game 1. If you guys enjoyed the content, please leave a like. Please drop a comment down below. And also, if you guys are in tune and listen to podcasts, check out my podcast, Curry in the Pot. I love to talk about sports, and I will be back with another video soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.